Hello everyone, my name is Richard Corliss. Today I'm here with the wonderful Robin Riebel. Robin's going to help us today with some demonstrations and share information about laminate flooring installation. So let's get to it.
Today we're focusing on how to install laminate flooring. We're going to cover the following areas. We're going to look at tools and materials, which include a list of required tools, materials, and then a demonstration of each tool and material. Why laminate? We'll break down the different types as well as the benefits of installing laminate flooring. We'll also provide an overview of the workshop and safety precautions, preparing the subfloor, installing the laminate flooring, cleaning, and finishing touches. And finally, of course, a summary of what we've learned today.
That sounds like a lot of great information, Robin. Now let's discuss some essential safety precautions. Wear safety gear, like safety goggles. They protect your eyes when using any cutting machinery. If needed, use gloves to protect your hands from sharp edges. However, never use gloves while you're using a power saw. The saw can actually snag the glove, right, and pull it toward the blade. You don't want that to happen, right? So for the rest of the install, gloves are fine. Knee pads to protect your knees while you're working on the floor. Believe me, you're going to need them after a couple of hours, okay, of this install, all right? The work area. Ensure your work area is clean and well ventilated. Keep your workspace free of clutter to avoid trips and falls. Organization is key here, okay? Now, tool safety. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when using these tools. Keep sharp tools away from your children and pets, and also husbands, okay? All right? Now, and also unplug electrical tools when not in use.
Right. Great advice, Richard. So, Richard, what kind of tools do we need for this project?
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna need a couple of tools. If you look below this video screen, you'll see a link below with a resource guide, which lists the tools you're gonna need for this project, okay? Make sure you have the following before you begin the installation process. For instance, a tape measure. This is essential for accurate measurements of your space and laminate planks. A utility knife. It's used to cut underlayment and trimming the laminate planks as well. A miter saw, circular saw, or jigsaw is needed for cutting laminate planks to the correct size, okay? Spacers, a pull bar. This helps to pull planks together. You want those seams to be as tight as possible, okay? A rubber mallet. It's used to tap the planks into place without damaging them. Very important. Always a rubber mallet, never a normal hammer, okay? The tapping block. This is a great tool. It helps to tap planks together without damaging the edges. We'll show that later on in the workshop as well. A speed square. It ensures accurate right angle cuts. Don't try to do this by eye, okay? No. Use a speed square, it's great. You can also use a moisture meter, okay? This is important. It measures the moisture content in various materials, helping to detect and prevent issues like mold, rot, or structural damage. And the most important tool, a pencil.
Gotta have a pencil.
You're gonna need a pencil.
You can't do much with the tools unless you have the materials as well.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be a little difficult to install laminate flooring without, the laminate flooring. Correct, yeah. Gotcha.
All right, so let's start off with what you'll need. Laminate flooring planks. Choose the style and color that best suits your space. You may need underlayment. This is going to provide a cushion between the subfloor and the laminate, reducing noise. A lot of them have a built-in moisture barrier. You also may need a separate moisture barrier. This protects against moisture from subfloors, especially important for concrete subfloors.
Got it.
You're going to need a little bit of adhesive. Some laminate floors may require adhesive for certain installations. You're going to need the baseboards and moldings to finish off the edges of the flooring and cover that expansion gap that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Finishing touches.
Yep, to make it really a nice finish.
Got it.
Transition strips. These provide a smooth transition between different types of flooring. So if you have your laminate running up to carpet or tile, you can make that transition beautiful.
Understanding your tools and materials are essential to a successful installation. Take your time to familiarize yourself with them before starting your project. Before we get started, here are the steps we will be going over to install laminate flooring. First step, acclimatizing the laminate flooring, right? Preparing the subfloor, which includes cleaning and leveling the subfloor, checking for moisture, installing underlayment, and installing laminate flooring, which includes planning the layout, cutting laminate planks, laying the first row, staggering the planks, finishing the last row, and then we're going to go into finishing touches, including installing baseboards and molding and touching up gaps.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. Why don't we go ahead and just get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. The first step is to acclimatize the floor. What you want to do is bring the boxes of laminate into the room that you're going to lay them in. The packaging has to acclimate to the room's temperature and humidity. If you don't allow the laminate floor to acclimatize before installation, several issues can arise. Expansion, contraction. That laminate in a flooring is sensitive to changes in temperature and humidity. If it hasn't acclimatized, it might expand or contract significantly after installation, and that's going to lead to gaps or even buckling between the planks. They can warp and they might bend, causing an uneven floor surface. This can affect the overall look and feel of the floor and might require costly repairs or replacements. Now, you can also get joint separation, where that locking mechanism between the planks can be stressed if the flooring expands or contracts after installation. This leads to that joint separation where they pull apart from each other. If they're not acclimatized correctly, it can also lead to warranty issues. Many manufacturers require a specific acclimatization period before installing as part of their warranty terms. Failing to do this could void the warranty. To avoid these issues, it's recommended to allow laminate flooring to acclimatize in the room where it will be installed for at least 48 to 72 hours. Now, this is going to help ensure the flooring adjusts to the room's temperature and humidity levels.
Now, this is not necessary if boards were stored in a similar temperature and humidity space. However, it's always a good thing to do and to ensure that your boards are properly acclimatized. Robbie, when picking out the right laminate floor, what should our customers know about this process?
Yeah, there's a lot of variety out there. So there's several types of laminate flooring, and each is designed to meet specific needs and preferences. What we really want to focus on is the thickness and what is called the AC rating. And the thickness itself is going to vary from about 6 millimeters to 12 millimeters. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but the thicker the laminate, the more impact resistant. Less echoey, better to hide imperfections, and overall you get that more wood-like feel. Now, if you're balancing your budget with comfort, 8 millimeters is a great place to start. It's going to be a little less expensive, but it's still going to give you a really good look. Now, although the thicker ones are going to give you that better impact resistance, that doesn't necessarily mean it will wear well. For the wear of it, you want to look at the AC rating, all right? Now, the AC rating is the wear rating that measures the floor's resistance to abrasions, stains, and overall durability. The scale only runs from 1 to 6, with 6 being suitable for high-traffic commercial settings like retail stores, things like that. Now, if you have a family, you should probably look for something starting in about that 4 range. And if you have pets, especially dogs, an AC rating of 5 or more would be better. We also have water-resistant and waterproof laminate. And these are ideal for areas that are prone to moisture, like bathrooms and kitchens, right? And sometimes even in basements. Some other types include things like embossed laminate or hand-scraped and distressed laminate, a wider plank, or patterned and specialty laminates. One of my favorite is the laminate with the attached underlayment, right? That leaves, you don't have to add an additional underlayment, and eliminating that need for a separate underlayment during the installation. You definitely want to consider the room's usage and traffic levels. High traffic areas may benefit from a more durable option. For areas with high moisture, you're definitely going to want to choose that water-resistant or waterproof laminate, especially bathrooms.
Awesome. So it's very important to select the right laminate flooring for the job. By understanding the different types of laminate flooring and their specific benefits, you can make an informed decision that best suits your needs and preferences. Now, let's move on to the second step, preparing the subfloor, okay? To ensure it is clean and it's level, you don't want a lumpy floor, as like Robin has mentioned, it can buckle and shift over time. So this is really, really, really important, preparing that subfloor, okay?
Right.
Now, cleaning. We need to sweep and vacuum the area thoroughly to remove all dust and debris, okay? The next step, leveling. Use a level to check for uneven areas. Now, what is considered level, okay? Subfloor unevenness cannot be greater than 3/16 of an inch over a 10-foot span, or 1/8 of an inch over a 6-foot span, okay? You're gonna sand down those high spots if needed and fill the low spots with leveling compound.
Yeah, that's really important. The better your prep is, the better your final floor is going to be.
Of course.
Now, after you've done all that, leveled it out, cleaned it off, we want to check the moisture level of the subfloor. When you're installing laminate flooring, it's crucial to ensure that the moisture levels of both the subfloor and the laminate planks are within acceptable ranges. The moisture content for a concrete subfloor should be below 4.5% with a concrete moisture meter. The moisture content for a wooden subfloor should be between 6 and 12%, and there should be no more than a 4% difference in the moisture content between the subfloor and the actual laminate flooring itself. The moisture content of the laminate flooring itself is generally between 6 and 12%. So using that moisture meter is essential to check these levels accurately before installation. If the moisture levels are not within these acceptable ranges, you risk issues such as warping, buckling, or other damage to the laminate floor. If necessary, install a moisture barrier to protect against moisture from the subfloor.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned the moisture barrier, Robin. This is something a lot of people forget to do when installing laminate flooring by themselves, okay? This will prevent future damage and ensure the longevity of your floor. So, before you put in the moisture barrier, make sure to accurately measure the room and write down the dimensions for easy reference, right? Cut the moisture barrier material to fit the length and the width of the room. When you lay the moisture barrier, start in one corner of the room and roll the moisture barrier out, okay? When placing the next sheet of moisture barrier, overlap the edges. This is really important. It needs to be at least 6 to 8 inches of overlap. This overlap helps to prevent any moisture from seeping through the seams, okay? Use moisture-resistant tape to seal those overlap. You want it watertight, okay? Make sure the tape is applied smoothly and securely to prevent any gaps. Use a utility knife or scissors to trim any excess moisture barrier material around the perimeter of the room. Leave a little excess material up on the walls, as this can be covered by baseboards or molding later, okay? Some laminate flooring underlayments comes with a built-in moisture barrier, while others do not, okay? Follow the manufacturer's instructions regarding the use of underlayment.
Yeah, it's really important. If your moisture barrier is not combined with the underlayment, you're going to roll out the underlayment over the moisture barrier. So you want to make sure that it fits well, fits into your room, and is laid properly.
So I have a question, Robin. What is underlayment? Because we're mentioning it.
We keep talking about
The
it.
people are probably like, okay, got it. What is it? So can you explain to me what is underlayment?
Sure. The underlayment provides a cushion between the subfloor and the laminate flooring. Now, that does a lot of different things. It reduces noise. It prevents that moisture from coming up through it. Now, it's also going to enhance the comfort and improve the sound and thermal insulation, right? So the type of underlayment you choose really can depend on the flooring you're installing and the specific needs of your project. For example, your foam underlayment is a really popular choice for laminate and engineered hardwood flooring. It provides a soft, cushioning effect and is easy to install. This also includes that moisture barrier layer to protect against moisture from below. It's ideal for use on concrete subfloors or over crawl spaces. You can also get a cork underlayment, which is a natural product, which is great. It's known for its excellent sound insulation properties, and it's eco-friendly, which also means it's naturally resistant to mold and mildew. It can be a little bit pricey. Felt underlayment is a really great one. It's made out of recycled fibers and is often used under hardwood and laminate floors. And this provides good cushioning, durability, and really great sound dampening properties, right? And it's often treated, they'll put a treatment on it that will also make it resistant to moisture and mold, which is nice because, it is felt. It's like a fabric product that treatment makes sure you're not going to get that moisture and mold in there. We can also get rubber underlayments. Now, these are usually made from recycled rubber tires, and it's really durable and dense. It's fantastic for that soundproofing. And then, of course, they also have combination underlayments that may have different layers of different materials to provide combined benefits. You really want to get the one that's going to suit your needs the best. What are you most concerned about?
So when choosing the right underlayment, consider the type of flooring you are installing. In this case, laminate flooring. Assess the condition and material of the subfloor, concrete, plywood, etc. In areas with high moisture levels, choose an underlayment with a built-in moisture barrier. For multi-story buildings or apartments, consider underlayment with a good sound insulation of properties. In colder climates, choose an underlayment that offers thermal insulation, right?
Right. Now, we were speaking about colder climates.
Yeah.
Did you know that a lot of laminate floors are compatible with that in-floor radiant heating?
That's being used a lot nowadays.
It is, right? So if you have, or if you're thinking about adding that in-floor heating, make sure that the underlayment and the flooring are compatible because some underlayments may be or may not be. So you want to make sure that they are compatible with that radiant flooring, but a lot of them are. So that's a really great feature.
Yes, love it. I love the fact that you can put some of these are compatible with that heated floor, which definitely I'd love to have in my house. One day I'll have it. But
it's
Robin,
great in the bathroom when you get out of the shower in the winter.
Perfect. But before that, Robin, I have another question for you.
Sure.
All right. So again, we're talking about underlayment. But how do we install the underlayment?
It's super easy. The first thing you're going to do is you're just going to roll out the underlayment like we talked about with the moisture barrier and cut it to fit the space. You're going to use that utility knife to get the right cut to fit the space. And just like with the moisture barrier that we talked about earlier, you're going to tape your seams together. Now, these don't have to overlap, right? Usually you can butt them up and tape them, but you do want to tape them together to make sure that it is one solid surface. You want to use that moisture resistant tape like a duct tape or a specific flooring type of tape in order to keep those things together.
Awesome. Listen, proper preparation of the subfloor is essential for a successful laminate flooring installation. Take your time with these steps and ensure a smooth and durable floor. You're already investing a good amount of money in this type of flooring, so
and time.
So your base is the most important part of this. Now let's move on to the part you all have been waiting for, installing the laminate flooring.
Every step in the preparation process is necessary. We've already measured the room and we have those dimensions. The next step is to determine the direction of the boards. Typically, you'll lay the boards parallel to the longest wall in the room.
Okay. Now, why is that, Robin? Why is it suggested to lay the boards parallel to the longest wall?
Overall, laying the laminate flooring parallel to the longest wall is a common practice because it enhances the visual appeal, flow, and functionality of the room, while often making the installation process a little more straightforward. Now, this is the preferred method, okay? But if for some reason you decide that your room works better laying it the other way, it doesn't affect the installation process at all, okay? So we're still going to install it exactly the same way. So you definitely want to go with what works best for you and decide what's going to be most visually appealing in your home.
So in part, it's a little bit of, your preference, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So next, you will plan the width of the first and the last rows. Why is it important to plan this out rather than just start laying down the boards, right?
Yeah, this is really important because if you plan out that first and last row, you're going to make sure that you're going to have balance at both ends.
Yes.
Right? So you want to have that aesthetic balance. Having an evenly sized first and last row creates a visually balanced and symmetrical appearance of the room. You're not going to have a little sliver at one side.
Okay.
All right. It kind of gives it a professional finish, right? The floor will be a more professional, polished look overall if it's balanced aesthetically. And it's going to ensure your structural stability. Like I said, you don't want to have any of those little narrow strips, anything less than half a plank. Okay. You want to make sure you have something a little more than that because those narrow strips are really prone to damage. They're less stable and they can break or snap easily, especially in those high traffic areas. Yeah. Those evenly sized rows ensure a better fit and alignment of the planks, and it's just going to contribute to the overall stability of the floor. It's, again, going to simplify that cutting, too.
Okay.
Right? Trying to cut a little sliver off of a plank is really hard and keeping them consistent.
Got it.
So this planning ahead reduces the need for complicated or intricate cuts, making the installation process smoother and faster. So, and that proper planning is going to minimize that material waste as you can make more efficient use out of those planks.
Exactly. Now, we need to calculate the total width of the planks. You can do this with the pencil and paper or use the calculator on your phone. This is what we're going to do. We're going to calculate the total width of the planks. Determine the width of one laminate plank. You can find this information on the side of the product box, or you can use a measuring tape and make sure to determine the width of the last row, okay? Measure the longest wall of the row. Then subtract an additional ½ for the 1/4, right? 1/4 expansion gap on each side.
Right.
We'll discuss expansion gaps later, but take the total room width minus the ½ expansion gap and divide that by the width of one plank to find out how many full planks will fit and how much space will be left over for the final row. If the calculation for the last row is less than half of the width of a plank, you'll need to adjust the first row to ensure the last row isn't too narrow. Adjust the width of the first row. To ensure both the first and the last rows are of even and reasonable width, you may need to rip, which means cut lengthwise, the first row of planks, okay? Calculate the new width for the first row by adding the width of the last row to the width of a full plank. Then you can divide by 2, okay? Let's use another example.
Okay.
I love examples, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of math.
It's not that complicated once you figure it out.
It really isn't once you get it. But this is the most important part. Everything else is pretty much simple, okay? So, again, for example, assume the room is 132 inches or 11 feet wide. Subtract an extra ½ inch from the total width, to include the expansion gaps, so that would make the room 131.5 inches. Each plank is 7.64 inches wide. We divide the width of the room by the width of the planks, which is 131.5 divided by 7.64. It's about 17.2. So approximately you're going to have 17 planks and a partial plank cut to 0.2 of width, right? Or about 1.53 inches wide, okay? Now, in order to avoid a too narrow last row, you'll want to combine a couple of rows and then shorten them. Add the last row, remember last row, 1.53 inches, right, to a full plank width, which was 7.64 inches, to get 9.17 inches. Okay. Divide this combined width by 2 to get 4.585 inches, or about
9/16, yeah.
inches, okay? This means both the first and the last rows should be cut to 4 and 9/16 inches. Now, I know we just went through a lot of math,
Yes.
okay?
Yes, we did.
Don't worry about writing all of this down, so you can let your pencils go, okay? After
Waiting
the workshop, you will receive an email where you will be able to review this workshop as many times as you want, and we also will have this available on-demand format for you.
Now remember, cutting those laminate planks accurately is crucial for a professional looking installation. Measure and mark the planks to the desired width for the first and last rows. You'll measure 4 and 9/16 inches, and then using a circular saw or a jigsaw, cut these planks to the desired width. Now, you want to place the cut edge against the wall, leaving the manufacturer's recommended expansion gap. It's usually about 1/4 of an inch.
Exactly. So you said to consider the expansion gap when measuring the room's width. What is an expansion gap, first of all, and why do we need it?
Okay, that's a great question. So we talked in the very beginning about acclimatizing your floor because it can expand and it can contract.
Correct.
Right? Once you've installed the floor, you want to leave an expansion gap as a small space that's left between the edges of the laminate flooring and the walls or any fixed objects like a door frame, column, cabinets, things like that.
Got it.
And that's to accommodate that natural expansion and contraction of the flooring material.
Okay, got it. So I'm going to leave an expansion gap all around the room. If it's a perfect square, all around the room, 1/4 inch of expansion gap so that the floor can move if it needs to,
it can
right?
expand,
It expands
and it has a little bit of room to expand and contract. Yep.
perfectly. Okay. Laminate flooring is sensitive to changes in temperature and humidity. The material can expand in high humidity or warm temperatures and contract in low humidity or cold temperatures. An expansion gap allows the flooring to expand and contract without causing issues. Without an expansion gap, the expanding laminate planks would press against the walls, right, outwards, leading to buckling or warping or lifting of the floor, right? This gap ensures there is room for the floor to move without causing damage, okay? The expansion gap helps to maintain the integrity of the joints between the planks. Without it, the pressure from the expansion could cause the joints to separate or even crack.
You know, laminate flooring is a floating floor system, meaning it's not nailed or glued down. That expansion gap allows the entire floor to move as a single unit, ensuring proper functionality and longevity. Most laminate flooring manufacturers require an expansion gap as part of their installation guidelines. Failing to provide this gap can void that warranty and leaving you unprotected in case of damage. Like we said, typically the expansion gap is about 1/4 of an inch, maybe as much as 1/2 an inch, is recommended around the perimeter of the room. like including walls, doorways, and any fixed objects, like pipes or columns. Use spacers between the flooring and the walls to ensure a consistent expansion gap is maintained during the installation. These spacers can be removed once the flooring is in place. After the flooring is installed, the expansion gap can be covered up by your baseboards or quarter round molding. This not only hides that gap, but it also allows the floor to expand and contract underneath that trim. Now we will continue laying out the first row of planks until you reach the end of the room. As you get close to the end, you're going to notice the last plank may need to be cut to fit in that final space. So for example, if the room is 144 inches long or 12 feet, you're going to subtract that expansion gap at each end, that 1/4 inch on each side, for a total of 1/2 inch. And that's going to give you a total room length of 143.5 inches. The planks we're using are 50 and 5/8 inches long, okay? So we're gonna divide the length of the room by the length of the plank, which is 143.5 divided by that 50 and 5/8. And that's 2.84, which means we will need 2 full-length planks and 1 cut at 42.5 inches. I know, more math.
But remember, you won't be cutting all the planks to 42.5 inches. This is only the first row, right? Because moving forward, we will be staggering the planks, offsetting them between 6 and 12 inches, okay? Staggering the joints of laminate planks increases the overall strength and stability of the room. It helps distribute weight and stress more evenly across the surface, okay? Reducing the likelihood of planks shifting or even separating. Yeah.
If the seams of the planks are aligned in a straight line across the floor, it creates weak points where the planks can more easily separate or lift. Staggering those joints ensures that no 2 adjacent rows have joints in the same place, and this is going to prevent continuous seams. Staggered joints create a more natural and visually appealing look, mimicking the appearance of a more traditional hardwood floor. It avoids the repetitive, kind of grid-like pattern that can result from aligned joints.
Now here's a cool tip. Staggering allows you to use offcuts from one row to start the next row, minimizing waste and making the installation more efficient. This not only saves materials, but also reduces the cost of the project, which is always good.
Yeah, I love to reduce the cost of the project wherever possible.
Why not?
Plus, subfloors are not always perfectly level. That staggering helps compensate for any slight variations in the subfloor, creating a more even and stable surface for the laminate flooring. Begin the first row with a full plank. Ensure you leave the appropriate expansion gap along the walls, and when you reach the end of the plank, and cut the plank to fit. Use the remaining cutoff piece to start the next row. You want to ensure that that offcut or cutoff piece is at least 12 inches long to maintain stability. Aim for a random or at least varied staggering pattern, right? You want to avoid creating a real predictable, uniform stagger, such as like that stair-step pattern.
Correct. I think sometimes they're called the H patterns as well.
You'll
notice a lot of H's on your floor. That's where you're noticing that the pattern keeps repeating itself. So you're better off every time you get this excess amount. Make sure that when you're using that to your next row, they are different sizes. Minimum 12 inches, but make sure they're different sizes throughout so you don't get that repetitive pattern.
Exactly. Right? This randomness enhances both the structural integrity and the aesthetic appeal. You want to ensure that the end joints in adjacent rows are staggered by at least 6 to 12 inches.
Yeah.
Right? And this distance, again, is going to help distribute that stress and prevent weak points.
Now, what's great about laminate flooring is how easy it is to lay out by clicking the planks together, right?
Yeah, that makes it super easy. When connecting the planks, angle the tongue of the plank you're installing into the groove of the installed plank at about a 20 to 30 degree angle. Slowly lower the plank while exerting gentle pressure until it clicks into place. A tapping block and a rubber mallet can help ensure the planks are snugly fitted without damaging the edges. Regularly check for gaps between the planks. If you find any, use that tapping block and the mallet to make sure that you close them.
Correct. And sometimes, Robin, when you see that they're not really clicking on together, look for the groove in the tongue. Make sure that the groove doesn't have any debris in between, because that does hold it from clicking together.
Right.
So make sure they're nice and clean, okay? Sometimes it can happen from packaging. At the end portions might be a little bit broken off. And these are situations where you're going to have to be looking out for that, okay?
Absolutely, because they should go, you should feel some resistance when you click it, but it should be pretty easy. You shouldn't really be pressing on it hard. It'll click in easier than that.
Excellent. Now, continue laying the planks row by row, clicking them together. Now, finishing the last row can be a little bit tricky, as we've spoken before, right, with all the math, but with careful measurement, it can be done smoothly. When you reach the last row, you may need to use a pull bar, okay, to pull the planks together, as there will be limited space to the angle of the planks.
You're going to want to place the flat, padded end of the pull bar against the edge of the flooring plank that needs to be pulled tight. The bent end should face away from the plank. Use your rubber mallet to tap the bent end of the pull bar. This action pulls the plank towards the previously installed plank, ensuring a nice, tight fit. Continue tapping gently but firmly until the plank is snugly fitted without any gaps. The pull bar is particularly useful when installing the final rows of flooring near walls or other obstacles where a tapping block and a mallet can't be used due to that limited space. It also is really good for the last plank in a row, right? Because when you got to get that last plank in, sometimes you need a little pull and you can't fit in that tapping block.
Excellent. Now, remember, the key to a successful installation is patience and precision, okay? Take your time to ensure each plank is properly fitted and secure. Now, what happens when you have an obstacle like doors, poles, and vents? How do you work around this?
All right, I'm really glad you asked that.
Okay.
All right. Take, for example, laying laminate flooring around your toilet, right?
Perfect
You're going to put laminate in your bathroom.
Sounds good.
Well, before you lay the flooring in the bathroom, first of all, make sure you're using a laminate product specifically designed for those moisture-prone areas, and you're going to want to seal all edges and seams properly.
And also, if you're wondering how to remove a toilet, we do have a workshop on how to remove a toilet, okay? So
Absolutely.
You can check our on-demand section, and you will find that workshop there.
Yep. Now, that toilet flange, you want to make sure it's free of debris. Now, chances are in that toilet flange going into your floor, when you pulled off the old toilet, there's going to be leftover wax from the wax ring, if you have a wax ring, things like that. There might be some caulk from around the base of the toilet. You want to make sure that you clean all of that and also check the flange height, okay? If it's too low, you might need to install a toilet flange extender to ensure a proper seal once that flooring is installed.
Just like any other row, you'll want to lay the underlayment according to the manufacturer's instructions. Cutting around the toilet flange, right, using a utility knife to make precise cuts for the underlayment if it isn't already attached. Measure the distance from the walls to the center of the toilet flange. Transfer these measurements to the laminate planks, marking the center point. Trace the outline of the toilet flange onto the laminate planks, adding a small allowance of about 1/4 of an inch, right?
You're still going to need that expansion.
Correct, for expansion and contraction. You can use a contour gauge, which is an excellent tool, to accurately measure around circular or oddly shaped objects. This is a must. And if, just in case, they come in different sizes, right?
Yep.
So if it's in your budget, go ahead and buy yourself a small one. And if you can, buy yourself a larger one for larger curves.
Yeah, this is great for any oddly shaped things you need to cut around, like door frames, things like that. If you're not going under your door jamb and you have to get it right in the center there, it's really great to have that contour gauge to help with those weird cuts. Once you've got that cut drawn on your piece of laminate, you're going to use a jigsaw or a coping saw to cut along your marked lines, creating a hole for the toilet flange. You want to dry fit the planks around the flange to ensure a proper fit before your final installation. Install the laminate flooring as usual, using spacers to maintain an expansion gap around the perimeter of the room. When you reach the area around the toilet flange, fit the pre-cut planks around it. Ensure the planks are snug, but allow for that necessary expansion gap.
Always an expansion gap. As you're seeing, it's a repetitive topic, right? Expansion gap, you always need one.
Right. The only difference with doing this around the toilet flange, because it's going to be in a wet area, is you are actually going to fill that expansion gap with silicone caulk. We always use the silicone caulk because it gives the flexibility to move when the floor expands and contracts. So you're going to want to use that silicone caulk around the edge of the laminate where it meets the toilet flange to create that watertight seal. Allow the caulk to dry according to the manufacturer's instructions.
One question we get is, how do I handle transitions between different types of flooring? For example, going from a tile floor to laminate, how would you accomplish that?
Oh, yeah, that's really not that complicated at all. You're going to treat the end of the tile floor kind of like you would a wall, right? You're going to measure the width or the length of the planks from one wall to the edge of the tiles. And you're going to cut the planks as you would for the last row in a normal room.
Got it.
Okay? So that's going to leave a gap. It's going to leave a bigger gap, right? The trick here is we're going to use what's called a transition strip between those two different floor types. Now you can use it between floor types. You can use them in a lot of areas, wherever you have to make a transition.
Okay, now talking about transition strips, there are 3 types. You have the T-molding. This one's best for transitioning between 2 floors of the same height, such as laminate to laminate or laminate to tile. You have the reducer. This one's ideal for transitioning between 2 floors of different height, such as laminate to vinyl or laminate to a lower height floor, okay? Then we have the threshold or the end cap. This one's used where the laminate ends and meets a different type of flooring, okay? Such as a doorway or a sliding glass door.
Now, you want to measure the width of the transition area where the different types of flooring meet and mark the measurement on the transition strip. Using a miter saw or hand saw, cut the transition strip to the measured length. Now, with these transition strips, there is a metal piece and then there's the transition itself. So you're going to have to make sure that the blade on your saw or whatever you're using can cut through that metal piece as well.
Okay, so a more of a multi-purpose saw blade would be better in this case.
Sure.
Okay.
And you could even, for this one, if you only have a saw for wood, but you have maybe an angle grinder with a cutting edge, that'll take care of it real clean. An oscillating tool with a cutting edge will take care of it real clean.
Nice.
All right? You want to smooth any of those rough edges with sandpaper if necessary. You want to ensure the both types of flooring are clean and level. Check that the gap between the 2 floors is consistent with the width of the transition strip's base plus that 1/4 inch expansion gap
expansion
on each
gap.
side. Some transition strips come with a metal or plastic track that needs to be installed first, okay? So you're going to center that metal piece in the gap, and secure it to the subfloor with the screws, right? You could also use adhesive if you wanted to. Most of them are screwed down, but check your manufacturer's instructions. Make sure the track is straight and firmly attached. Now, if you're using a T-molding, you're going to fit the T-shaped part of the track and press it down firmly. You can use your rubber mallet to ensure it clicks into place, right? You can also, because again, if we're looking at one of those waterproof floors, you can also add a little bit of that silicone caulk on the bottom of the T-molding. It'll help adhere it and also reduce any the chance of any moisture.
So that metal strip is acting like a base for the transition.
Yeah,
right? Transition is not what gets screwed down. The base is what gets screwed down, and the transition clicks into place.
It snaps
Anything
into it.
extra that you can add for extra sturdiness, right? Even better.
Right. Now, for reducers and thresholds, those you definitely want to apply adhesive to the bottom of the strip and press it firmly into place. Hold it down until the adhesive sets or use weights to kind of keep it in place. If the strip requires screws or nails, drill pilot holes first to avoid splitting the material. Then secure the strip with screws or nails. Ensure the transition strip is level and securely attached. You want to walk over that transition to test for any movement or instability.
Also, depending on the type of flooring you will be transitioning to and from will determine the type of transition strip you will use. For example, laminate to tile. Use a T-molding if both floors are the same height, right? Use a reducer if the tile is higher than the laminate. For laminate to carpet, use a threshold or end cap to transition from laminate to carpet. The transition strip should cover the edge of the carpet and provide a smooth transition to the laminate. For laminate to vinyl, you'll use a reducer if the laminate is higher than the vinyl. Use a T-molding if both floors are the same height. Now, what about doorways? How do you move through different rooms and continue the laminate flooring seamlessly?
Yes. Transitioning laminate flooring through doorways and into different rooms while maintaining a seamless look can be a challenge. But it's achievable with careful planning and very precise execution. You want to measure and mark a straight line from the starting point in the first room through the doorway and into the next room. This ensures that the planks are aligned and run seamlessly through the doorway. It's crucial to continue the same layout pattern and staggering of the planks into the next room to maintain that seamless appearance. Begin installing the laminate flooring in the first room as usual, starting from the corner and using your spacers to maintain the expansion gap along the walls. When you approach the doorway, ensure the planks align with your marked line and fit neatly into the doorway space. Measure and cut the planks to fit the doorway. Use a jigsaw or coping saw to cut around the door jambs and casings if needed. Undercut door jambs and casings slightly to allow the laminate planks to slide underneath for a cleaner look. Use a piece of scrap flooring and a handsaw to achieve the correct height for undercutting. Continue laying the planks through the doorway, ensuring they will remain aligned with the planks in the first room. Now, this is if a transition strip is not desired. Make sure your planks are securely clicked together through the doorway without any gaps. Once you've laid the planks through the doorway, continue installing the flooring in the next room. Maintain the expansion gap along the walls and follow the same layout and stagger pattern as in the first room.
It is important to maintain the same direction of the planks throughout the rooms to ensure a more uniform appearance. Take your time to measure and cut planks accurately around door jambs and casings for a professional finish. Always leave the recommended expansion gaps around the perimeter of the rooms, including doorways, okay? And before applying adhesive or securing planks. Dry fit the planks and transition strips to ensure everything fits correctly.
If you have a waterproof laminate,
Okay.
it is waterproof. The joints between the planks are waterproof, okay? But you still have that expansion gap all the way around the outside. You have to make sure that that is waterproof. And in order to do that, what you would need to do is fill that expansion gap with this 1/4 inch, it's called backer rod, right? It is a foam flexible rod, right? So it allows for expansion and contraction because you can squish it and it will move, right? So you will stick that in that expansion gap all the way around your room.
Got it.
And then you want to cover it with a bead of silicone.
Okay, so talking about that waterproofing, now let's recap real quick. Laminate, when we say waterproof, we don't mean that you can put this in a pool,
No.
bring it back out, and you can use it again. What we mean is that if you spill something on the laminate flooring, you do have some time until you can just dry it off and everything will be okay.
Right.
That's
like,
what we mean by waterproofing, right? Or water resistant.
Right.
This just gives another level to it. In case liquid were to fall on the laminate, it'll roll, right? This won't allow the water to roll underneath your walls.
Right. And it's also going to make sure that the water can't get underneath the laminate surface. Because remember, the underside of your laminate floor is made out of a wood product, but it's almost like a press board. So when it gets wet, it swells. And if that gets wet, this is going to keep that water from getting underneath and swelling that press board. Okay, so that's what this does. Once you install this, then you would go ahead and put on your moldings or your 1/4 round. Okay, so you want to fill that expansion gap first, then go ahead and install your moldings and your 1/4 round.
Now that we have everything laid out, and we need to make sure we put on the finishing touches.
Right. The finishing touches give your floor that polished and professional look. So you want to measure and cut your baseboards and moldings to fit. Right? We're going to glue or nail the baseboards to the wall, not to the floor. You want to make sure you try to hit those studs in your wall.
Okay. After installing the flooring and baseboards, you might notice small gaps. Use a floor gap fixer or sealant for minor gaps, okay?
Right.
Finishing touches here.
Proper cleaning and maintenance will keep your laminate floor looking new for years. Sweep or vacuum regularly to remove dirt and debris. Use a damp mop with a laminate floor cleaner for deeper cleaning. Avoid using excessive water and really harsh cleaning agents. To prevent scratching, attach those felt pads or rubber caps to the bottom of your furniture legs to prevent those scratches when moving furniture. You can also place rugs or mats in really high traffic areas and entryways to reduce the wear and tear. Make sure the rugs have a non-slip backing. Use a laminate floor polish periodically to maintain that shine and protect the surface. And always follow the care and maintenance guidelines provided by the laminate flooring manufacturer. Implementing these tips can help keep your laminate floor looking great and extend its lifespan.
Excellent. Now, to summarize, we've covered why you want to choose laminate flooring, understanding the tools and materials needed for the laminate flooring installation, preparing the subfloor by cleaning, leveling, and checking for moisture, installing laminate flooring with a step-by-step process, including cutting the planks, laying the first row, staggering planks, and installing around obstacles, adding finishing touches such as baseboards, molding, and touching up gaps. And we also spoke about cleaning and maintaining your laminate floor to keep it looking new.
We hope this workshop has provided you with the knowledge and confidence to install your own laminate flooring.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope this workshop has been helpful and inspires you to tackle your laminate flooring project with confidence.
Remember, take your time, follow the steps carefully, and enjoy the process. We're here to support you every step of the way.
See you next time at our next DIY workshop. Always remember, if you have any questions, you can email us at workshopslive@homedepot.com.
Happy flooring!